Hey YouTube, DG here. Today I'm going to do a review on the old Jetix cartoon called Super Robot Monkey Team Hyperforce Go. If you're wondering what that show is, it was an animated action adventure comedy show that aired on the program blog Jetix, which was a part of Toon Disney, which later became Disney XD in 2009. The show ran for 4 seasons, from 2004 to 2008, and unfortunately ended on a cliffhanger. But recently, though, I have acquired a bootleg Blu-ray of it from the site called asukadog.com, and I've been binging the show through the Blu-ray disc, and I've been starting to get invested in it after a while. So I decided, why not do a review of the show? So that's why I'm here, and we're going to review it. Anyway, if you like what you see here, please comment, like, and subscribe. I'll try to post content up as much as I can, and I hope you enjoy. I'll first start off with who created the show. The show was created by Ciro Neely, who, if you don't know who he is, he also worked on other cartoons such as Teen Titans 2003, Transformers Animated, and Ninja Turtles 2012. The show, when he conceived it, was meant to be a homage and a parody of old Japanese tokusatsu series, such as Super Sentai, Ultraman, and I'm assuming also Godzilla. The show is about a boy who finds these robot apes inside a giant robot, and ends up becoming their leader after reawakening them, and they become a team called Super Robot Team Hyper Monkey Force Go, whose mission is to protect the world of Sugar Zoom City against the evils of the Skeleton King, who is an old alchemist possessed by something called the Dark One that turned him evil and made him want to destroy the universe. The show's main protagonists are made up of 6 characters. The main protagonist is named Shiro, who is the leader of the Super Robot Team for Monkey Force Go and the only human on the team. He is a boy of, I believe, of 13 probably, or 10, I'm not too sure, who is voiced by Greg Sipes, who you might also recognize the voice of Beast Boy in Teen Titans 03, which is the only Teen Titans show I'll recognize, in animation form at least, and also serves the voice of Michelangelo in the 2012 Ninja Turtles cartoon. He was the leader, who is a kind-hearted young man whose goal in life is to defend the city of Sugar Zoom from anyone who dares threaten it, and he's not afraid to put himself on the line to save his friends, if it shall come. He also does have flaws. At times he can be a little overconfident in his abilities, since he is also the inheritor of the power Primate, which is an ability that allows him to become super strong and inhabit a giant green ape ghost-like thing. Yes, I said that. Don't add me. The rest of the Monkey Force includes Antari, voiced by Kevin Michael Richardson, who, if you don't know, was the voice of Gonto in Lilo and Stitch, as well as the voice of Goro in the 90s Mortal Kombat movie, the Joker, the 2004 Batman show, and also serves the voice of Shredder, the 2012 Ninja Turtles cartoon, among other famous voice roles. The character of Antari in the show is basically like the wise sage of the group, being the second command and mentor to Chihiro, teaching him life lessons and advice on how to be a leader and stuff. And he's not that bad of a character. Kevin Richardson does have a pretty smooth voice for the character, which I have to admit does make it more interesting. And the art depth to the character that has shown episodes such as Antari's Masters, which is a good episode I recommend you watch. In the first 2 seasons, Antari had a black color scheme, but in the later seasons, seasons 3 and 4 to be exact, he ended up donning a more silver and blue color scheme after he nearly died and his spirit possessed Chihiro into finding a way to get him back. Next we have Sparks, who is basically the comedian of the team, and he's the red monkey. And fun fact, he is actually voiced by Corey Feldman. If you don't know who Corey Feldman is, he was an actor in the 80s and 90s, having appeared in such movies such as Friday the 13th, The Final Chapter, Gremlins, Goonies, Stand By Me, and the early 90s Ninja Turtles movies where he voiced Donatello. I know, cool career, isn't it? So yeah, it was kind of cool to see that he was part of this show of all things. Despite being the comic relief, Sparks is also brave, stunning, kind-hearted, and will do anything to protect his teammates, especially Nova, the lead female of the team, who's also his potential love interest. Next we have Gibson, ship's scientist, and the Blue Monkey, voiced by the legendary Tom Kenny, who, by the way, is one of my favorite voices of all time. And as we all know, he is the voice of SpongeBob from SpongeBob, and the voice of Ice King from Adventure Time, the Mayor and Powerpuff Girls, as Warder from Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, Dog from Cat Dog, and Happy from Rocko's Modern Life. He likes to lay down logics and facts for the team, and is also someone who doesn't really care for the nonsense of some of the other members, but still can also be fun-loving and kind-hearted at times as well. Despite being easily panicked, he also doesn't let it get in the way of his duties, and is a solid member of the team. Next is Otto, the Green Monkey, and the team's mechanic. He's very talented with machines and is extremely unmatched when it comes to his technician skills, but he can be kind of clueless and be kind of doofy as well. Aside from that, he's still one of the nicest guys in the team, and he does take offense if anyone harms him or his friends, and he's willing to give his life to save the others as well. He is voiced by Clancy Brown, who, if you don't know, is the voice of Mr. Krabs in SpongeBob, Lex Luthor in various DC-related media, Dog Pound in Team in 2012, Savage Opress in Clone Wars, and various other roles in other movies and shows. Next to Sparks, he's kind of the secondary comic relief for the team because he can be kind of a clown, except unlike Sparks, he's unintentionally funny for the most part, because of his clueless nature and his lack of street smarts as well. Yeah, he kind of mainly aimed for younger audiences, but he can still appeal to older audiences as well, and be a rich and endearing character. And last we have Nova, the only female of the group, the Yellow Monkey, and the Bruiser, voiced by Carrie Wolgren, who also voiced Starfire in various video DC movies, and the video game Injustice 2. Nova is the Bruiser of the team, who's the toughest one, and she's also very kind and sweet towards her friends, as well as abrasive towards her enemies and people who annoy her, such as Sparks, with whom she's a love-hate relationship with, and the show heavily implies relationships bloom between the two of them, which unfortunately never got to be realized, even though there are plenty of scripts out there for the two to have a relationship. And finally, for the main characters, we got Jinmei, who is Chihiro's robot girlfriend, voiced by Ashley Johnson, who you might know as the voice of Terra from Teen Titans 03, and Gwen 10 from Ben 10 Alien Force 2 Omniverse. She's a young girl who's also a robot, who is very kind and sweet, and is also Chihiro's love interest throughout the show, and she is kind-hearted and is willing to help the hyperforce whenever they need it. And now I'll move on to the villains, starting with the main villain of the show, the Skeleton King, voiced by the legendary Mark Hamill, who you may know best as Luke Skywalker from the Star Wars films, and as the Joker from Batman the Animated Series and various other DC-related media, and as Ozai from Avatar: The Last Airbender. And so far, the Skeleton King is my third favorite Mark Hamill role. I mean, look at this guy. He's got an awesome design, a very intimidating voice, as well as great bravatos with his actions and his body language. I mean, this is one of the most scariest looking villains I have seen in an animated show. I mean, come on, you can't deny this is epic. His goal in life is to rule over Shugazum City and please his masters, the Dark Ones, so he can gain ultimate power of the universe, basically. Yeah, it's a little cliche, but still, you have to admit, he looks pretty awesome. And the next villain we'll discuss is the Mandarin. He was voiced by, couldn't possibly be voiced by, famous Asian actor James Hong of many cult films and many of his TV show appearances. The Mandarin in the show is the former leader of the Super Robot Team Hyper Monkey Force Go, until he got blinded by power and decided to become evil. The rest of the monkeys didn't like that he became evil, so they were forced to overthrow him and send him to space jail, basically, until he gets free years later, accidentally by Chihiro, and starts working for the Skeleton King in hopes of gaining power and ruling over the universe alongside the Skeleton King. I'll get to the characters later. Until then, I'm going to discuss the animation. The animation does look kind of low quality, but I believe that's part of its charm. It's trying to emulate classic anime, probably from like the 80s and 90s a little bit.
And also, if you notice with the characters' mouth movements, they don't exactly match what they're saying. Instead, it's just regular going up and down. Color palette is also pretty good. It has a lot of colorful atmosphere, a lot of cool-looking designs to its architecture, buildings, and the various plants in the show just look amazing. Like, you couldn't get this anywhere else on American television. Maybe Japanese television, but I'm not from Japan, so who would I know? The show does borrow heavily from various mecha-related Eastern media, including Gundam and the Super Sentai series, which, yes, I have watched, and does take inspiration from Power Rangers, Super Sentai's Western counterpart. Although, personally, I wouldn't say the robot fights are nearly as awesome as, say, in Gundam, Robotech, or even Super Sentai / Power Rangers, but that's just a minor nitpick. You don't have to agree with me if you don't want to. I'm cool with that. For a kids' show, the show did have some very dark and mature themes, such as characters actually dying and not coming back, and very sad scenes as well. I do consider Shadowlands Part 1 to be one of the saddest episodes in my opinion. One thing I do appreciate about the show, though, is the character interactions and chemistry. All the characters' unique personalities blend well together, and you can definitely tell they put a lot of effort into making these characters likable and interesting for the audience to get connected to. Even if they're not completely three-dimensional. They do go on interesting arcs and have pretty good, solid transformations from the people they were before to people they are now, and I appreciate that in a show like this. Although I do have to admit, one gripe I have is that the show also uses the Chosen One trope, which I admit is not my favorite trope in media. Even though I defend the Star Wars prequel trilogy, I have to admit I'm not a big fan of the Chosen One trope they did. Neither am I that much in this show, but still, that's just a minor nitpick on my end. No need to get offended or anything. If you're fine with it, you're fine with it. I don't mind. Although I kind of wish they would expand a little more on the show's intro prologue, such as give us some insight of Chiro before he met the hyperforce, such as where does he live, who does he live with, are his parents alive? Like, the show never really explains that or brings that up, so as far as we know, he could possibly be an orphan, or his parents just don't know what's going on with him. That's just a theory, I don't know. That's one thing I kind of wish the show could have tackled, honestly. Maybe they were going to, but it just never happened. Who knows? I also believe the show took inspiration from other classic animes such as Astro Boy and Speed Racer. There's even a group in the show called the Sun Riders who I swear are deliberately inspired by Speed Racer in a way. And also have some influence from Osamu Tezuka's characters and artwork from the old days. Another character in the show is called Valina, who's an evil skull sorceress who's devoted entirely to the Skeleton King. She was voiced by Hynden Walch, who you might know famously as Starfire from Teen Titans, Princess Bubblegum from Adventure Time, and Harley Quinn in various DC-related media. She's kind of the anti-chosen one of the show, as she was chosen by her parents to be evil sorceress and to serve the will of their master, the Skeleton King, and be his minion. I didn't really watch this much as a kid, because when I was watching Jetix as a kid, I was more into the Jetix era Power Rangers shows, Ninja Storm through Jungle Fury, before both Jetix and Toon Disney folded and became Disney XD. I did remember one episode, I think from the 4th season when I was a kid, where the monkeys were like being sent through certain points in time through these paintings, I believe. I have to rewatch that. I think I can rewatch it. Yeah, I can. I think the show got kind of interesting when it showed the robot monkeys' origins. It turned out the monkeys were the product of this guy called the Alchemist, who unfortunately got possessed by the Dark Ones to become the Skeleton King. And before his full possession occurred, he made the robot monkeys to help stop him from causing any harm. And then he became the Skeleton King, and we all know what happened. I also did like how in Season 4, they revealed this ally of the Alchemist called Captain Shugazoom, who was actually voiced by the Evil Dead's Bruce Campbell. I'm not kidding, look it up, it's Bruce Campbell. The show did involve some character deaths as well, such as Anatari dying temporarily at the end of the 2nd season before coming back in the 3rd season, as well as the Mandarin being killed off screen, replaced with a clone of him. And there was even an episode where Chiro takes out a guard and breaks his neck off screen, but you can hear the snapping noise and steal his outfit. Yeah, that guy's dead, I'm not kidding. This is definitely a show that definitely took a lot of risks, and it paid off mostly for them.